with our usual setup, remind ourselves of that setup position. So feet parallel, hip width apart, feet making the number 11, making sure the knees are nice and soft, so we're not locking the knees out. If you're unsure, just lock them out and then just soften them. And we're just going to start with rocking that weight forwards over the balls of the feet and then back over the heels. So as we come forward, you'll notice that engagement and tightening around the core. That's that transverse muscle, the corset muscle, which protects the spine. So what we want to try and do is maintain that core engagement when we come forwards, and as we bring it back to center, maintain that core engagement. So we're going to start now with the hips. We put hands on the hips, finding neutral with the pelvis. We'll just do some pelvic tilts first. So we're just going to really scoop the tailbone between the legs, arching, pushing that pelvis backwards, and then dropping it forward. So really creating that arch in the lower back, sticking the bottom out. So backwards and forwards. If you imagine your pelvis like a bucket of water, water would slosh out the back, and then water would slosh out the front. So we want to find somewhere in between those two extremes. So we're just going to slightly tuck the tailbone between the legs, making sure the hips are nice and level, drawing up through the pelvic floor as well. And then we're just going to do some nice big shoulder rolls. Find that neutral shoulder position. So big shrug of the shoulders, and then really sliding the shoulder blades down the back of the back. Let's do one more. Finally, sliding the shoulder blades down the back of the back. We're taking the arms out to the side. We're going to reach up towards the ceiling, maintain that core engagement, and then we're going to lose it all now as we open up the front of the body. So I want you to just lose that neutral posture, take the gaze up towards the ceiling, bring the arms slightly backwards, but still lengthening at the same time. Imagine you're on one of those stretching machines, somebody's pulling those hands up and away from you. Just feel that opening. And then we're going to bring it back to that neutral posture. So slight tuck of the tailbone, sliding those ribs down towards the hips. Let's go again. Inhale, breath, reaching up, gazing up towards the ceiling, opening up the front of the body. Nice deep breaths here. And then bring it back to that neutral posture, slightly tuck under the tailbone. We're going to dive it down into our first roll down. So start to think about bringing the chin towards the chest. And then we're just going to imagine the spine against a brick wall. We're going to peel the spine away from that brick wall, one vertebrae at a time. Just allow the arms to dangle, rolling down. We're going down as far as those hamstrings will allow. So as we're at the bottom, we're just going to take some really nice deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. So think about opening at the back of the body, feeling that lovely stretch all the way down that posterior chain. Nice deep breath. See if we can go a little bit further into the stretch on the exhale. Make sure there's no creases in the back of the neck. Just let the head dangle. And then on the next exhale breath, we're going to lead with the pelvis. So think about tucking the tailbone under and just allow the spine to follow. So we're getting a really nice stretch down the spine. Just let the arms dangle as we restack against that brick wall behind us. Coming up very slowly. And then when we reach the top again, nice big shoulder roll, sliding those shoulders down and back. We're going to come back up into a full body stretch. And then we're just going to stretch out laterally now. So grabbing hold of one wrist, we're just going to pull the arm over, feeling that really nice stretch into the side of the body. Take a nice deep breath into that stretch. And on the exhale, we're going to shorten that distance between rib and hip. Allow the obliques to pull you back through the center. And then grabbing hold of the other wrist, we're going to take it down to the other side. Keeping those hips above the feet, feeling that length between that bottom rib and top of the hip bone there. Inhale, breath, and exhale as we come back to center. Lovely, well done. We're going to bring the arms down to the side now. Work a slight little bit of rotation now, so just bringing the hands to opposite shoulders. Inhale, breath in the center, hips stay fixed to the front, and as we exhale, we're just going to rotate the spine just to make sure we've worked in every direction before we start the class. And then inhale it back to center, exhale it through, keep those hips facing the front, and inhale it back. Last one to each side. Exhale, breath on that twist. Inhale, breath as we come back to center. Last one. Exhale it through. And inhale it back. Lovely, well done. Bring the arms down to the side. So now we're going to work a little bit of standing glute work. So we're going to keep the feet to about hip width apart. We're just going to do a nice hamstring stretch first. Main focus here is keeping a lovely straight neutral spine. So imagine you've got something like a pole attached to the spine. We're going to bring the hands into a prayer position. Elbows out nice and wide, collarbones out nice and wide. Soften that bend into the knee, and we're going to hip hinge now. So take an inhale breath as we exhale. We're hinging from the hip, coming down again as far as the hamstrings will allow us to, but keeping that lovely neutral spine. So we don't want to be flexing the spine or overextending. Nice neutral spine. So we should feel a really nice stretch there into the belly of the hamstring. Take an inhale breath as we exhale. We're coming back up. Nice and slowly. Coming back up to standing. Let's go again. So coming down, hip hinge, pushing that weight back to over the heel, sticking that bottom out behind us. Imagine if we had a brick wall behind us, we're trying to nudge the brick wall with the bottom. Feel that really nice stretch into the hamstring there. Inhale breath, exhale breath as we come back to neutral. So here we're lengthening and strengthening the glutes. Let's go for one more as we inhale it down. Stick that bottom out behind. Keep that collarbone nice and wide. Inhale breath here and exhale breath coming back up to standing. We're going to go down halfway now. So we're going to come down on the diagonal, so not all the way down. And then we're just going to work some squats. So this is going to be a bit of flexion in the knee now. So take an inhale breath as we come down into a nice deep squat, keeping those collarbones nice and wide, keeping that spine nice and tall, and exhale breath as we come back up to standing. Imagine we're trying to sit down on a toilet or a bar stool. Bar stools a bit higher actually, aren't they? And lift, exhale, coming back up. On this next one, we're coming down. We're going to hold it down at the bottom. So we should be feeling the weight through the heel here, trying to engage through the glutes. We're going to now transfer the weight over from one side to the other. So just transfer the weight over to the right side, keeping those collarbones out nice and wide, over to the left side. So we're just transferring the weight across. Nice. We're then going to load into the right side. We're going to lift the left heel up away from the floor and work a scooter exercise now. So we're going to lift the foot, find that balance, tap that toe out behind, and then tap that toe back in. So it's an exhale breath tap, inhale breath, bring it back. So you'll be feeling this in the quad. You should also be feeling this in the right glute. Quite often, the glutes quite lazy and will do anything to get out of work, which is probably why we're feeling it in the quad a little bit. I know I am. And tap. Let's go for two more. 1 and 2. Bringing that left tiptoe back down. Still with the weight through the right foot, we're going to drive out of that squat, up into standing, bringing the heel down. Give that leg a little bit of a shake out. We're going to do exactly the same on the other side now. So again, coming down into that high squat position, checking in with the spine in nice neutral position. We're going to just transfer the weight over to the right hand side, over to the left hand side. Do one more, over to the right, over to the left. We're going to load into that left foot now. We're going to lift that right heel up away from the floor so that all of the weight's going through that left side. And then we're going to tap the toe back and then tap. So there's no weight going through that right foot. It's all loaded through that left leg. Really pushing that left heel into the floor. Activating the glutes. Let's go for 3, 2, spine extensors are working to maintain that nice neutral spine. Last one, tap out behind, tap next to the left foot, and then keeping the weight through the left foot, we're going to come up and out of that squat, bring the right heel down, give the left leg a little bit of a shake out. Well done. So a bit of standing glute work there for you. We're then going to come to the end of our mat to make our way down onto the floor. So we're just going to take it down with a nice gentle roll down. So shoulders, collarbones out nice and wide, tailbone slightly tucked under. Take a deep inhale breath to prepare. As we exhale, bring that chin towards the chest. Again, imagine peeling yourself away from that brick wall behind. So nice and slowly, one vertebrae at a time, rolling down, stretching out through the back of the body, stretching out through the hamstrings, through the lower back, and at the bottom, we're just gonna relax, hopefully a little bit closer to the floor than the first roll down that we did. I want you to really bend through the knees now so we can get the whole of the hand down onto the mat. I'm just gonna move my camera slightly and my computer. Sorry, Arthur. Where are we? Sorry, I'm leaving you in a position. Can you see me? So hands flat to the mat and knees nice and bent. We're going to really bend through the knees now, just bringing the bottoms down towards the heel, keeping the palms of the hands flat to the floor, almost like they're glued. And then we're going to lift the bottom up towards the ceiling, almost trying to straighten out the legs. And then coming back down, bottom towards the heels. And then lift that bottom back up towards the ceiling, really feeling that stretch into the back of the legs. Let's just do one more. And lift. And then we're going to walk the hands down the mat halfway. And we're going to come down into a 4-point kneeling position. So knees directly underneath hips, wrists directly underneath the shoulders. Perfect. We're going to just work a nice cat-cow stretch now. So take a nice deep inhale breath. Leading with the pelvis again, we're going to really scoop that tailbone between the legs. See if we can get that stretch into the lower back. Much more difficult to stretch the lower back than the top part of the back. And then just really pushing up into the spine, creating some space between the vertebrae there. Nice deep breath. And then again, leading with the pelvis, so untuck the tailbone first and just allow the spine to start arching down towards the floor. Gentle squeeze of the shoulder blades at the bottom and just take the gaze towards the end of the mat. And then again, somewhere in between those two extremes, we'll find our neutral. So just pushing the floor away with the palms of the hands, slightly turning that tailbone under. So the spine's nice and flat. We're going to tuck the toes underneath and really wake up the transverse now with some little knee hovers. So take an inhale breath to prepare. As we exhale, we're just going to come up into a knee hover, a couple of centimeters above the mat. Nice deep breath in through the nose, and then exhale, control the knees gently back down to the floor. Let's keep going with that one. Inhale to prepare. Exhale as we lift. You should feel that corset muscle tighten as those knees come away from the floor. And then just slowly control the knees back down. We're going to go for 4 more. Exhale, breath coming up. Imagine we've got a tray of drinks on the spine. We're balancing. And then exhale, breath Bring them back down. Last two. Exhale, breath, lift. Inhale, breath, hold. Exhale, breath, lower. And last one, deep breath in to prepare. Exhale, up we come. Let's see if we can hold for 3, for 2, for 1. And then bring those knees back down to the floor. Untuck the toes, have a little sit back into the heels. Walk the hands away as far as you can. And just bring the forehead down towards the floor, feeling that lovely stretch through the arms, lovely stretch through the spine. Nice deep breaths as well. Really see if we can fill the lungs, stretch across the back of the rib cage. And then I'll treat you to another little stretch as well. From here, we're just going to walk the hands over to one side, keeping the bottom nice and close to the heels. Placing one hand on top of the other, feeling that stretch all the way down the side of the body. And then walking the hands back through the center, all the way up and over. Again, placing one hand on top of the other, feeling that stretch into the opposite side of the body. Nice deep breaths. And then bring it back to center again. Well done. We're then going to bring it onto our bottoms. We're going to make our way down onto the floor. So we're going to roll it down onto the floor. So feet hip width apart, sat nice and tall on those sit bones, crown of the head towards the ceiling, bringing the arms out in front. We're going to work on some roll downs a little bit later on. So we're just going to literally get down onto our backs here. So I want you to think about tilting the pelvis first, rolling that weight onto the back of the pelvis. Think about creating that lovely C curve into the spine. Get the waistband of the trousers was the first thing to hit the mats before we start to place one vertebrae at a time, as slowly as we can, down onto the floor. When we get down onto the floor, we're going to leave the arms up above the shoulders. We're going to anchor those shoulders into the floor. We're going to find neutral from this position now. So again, hip bones and pubic bone on that same level. Slight little gap between the lower back and the floor. Bring the feet up onto the floor. We're going to start with some marching just to engage through the transverse. So we're going to exhale as we bring the first leg up into tabletop position, and then just gently place it back down onto the floor. Without any movement from the spine, left leg comes up and place it down. So we're just gently waking everything up. Right leg down, left leg down. We're going to start to make this a little bit harder. Just do one more on each side. So basically the gap between the hip and that bottom rib on both sides doesn't alter. So now we're going to bring the right leg up into tabletop position, and then we're going to bring the left leg up to join it. If throughout this you're feeling anything in the lower back, revert to an imprint where we're pressing down in the lower, with the lower back into the floor. So if we can maintain neutral, great. If we can't, push down into the floor. So now we're going to start, this is our starting position. Level 1 scissors. So keeping that 90-degree bend in the knee, we're going to right toe tap, bring it back to that start position. Left leg goes down. So we're keeping it all nice and low level today, but certainly waking up the core. Try not to fold the knee. Imagine you've got an orange behind the kneecap. Keep that 90-degree angle. Perfect. Let's see how you're getting on. That's it. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. So the slower, oops, John's just burning the tea. Exhale, bring it back to center. Perfect, Abby. Lovely, Sheila. Lovely, Linda. That looks all really good. Well don't even know what he's picking up. It left it all out as well. And let's then make this one the last one. We're going to allow you to do a little knee hook now. Relax the abdominals, gentle roll before we do our next core exercise. So bringing the feet back down onto the floor. For this one, we're going to bring our hands behind the back of the head. We're just simply there to support the weight of the head as we come up with the upper spine. So we're taking an inhale breath, elbows stay nice and wide. As we exhale, we're going to give ourselves a double chin. Think about lengthening through the back of the neck, and then we're going to lift the head, lift the shoulders. See if we can get most of the shoulder blade away from the floor, coming up, looking down in between the legs. Take an inhale breath, and then as we exhale, control it back down. So we don't collapse back down. It's a controlled coming down. Take an inhale breath as we exhale, chin to chest. Give yourself that double chin. Lengthen through the back of the neck, lifting up away from the floor with the shoulder blades. Inhale as we hold, and exhale as we come back down. So this is just a little bit of ab prep. On this next one, we're going to exhale coming up, shoulder blades come away from the floor. We're then going to reach the arms behind the thighs, lift up a little bit higher, so we'll be imprinting the spine there, and then we're going to stay lifted, try to stay at this level as we bring the hands behind the head, and then control it all back down to the floor. Let's go again. Exhale breath, shoulder blades come away from the floor. We're going to reach the arms behind the thighs, see if we can come up a little bit higher. Staying at this height, we're going to bring the hands, that's the tricky bit, behind the head, and then coming back down with control. All the time, make sure the knees stay nice and still. Imagine you've got a glass of water, one on each kneecap. Hands come behind, lift up that little bit higher, stay lifted as we add that weight into the lever before we make our way back down. Let's go for 3 more. Exhale breath coming up. Inhale breath, we reach. Exhale breath, lift up a bit higher. Bring those hands behind the head as we control it all back down. So you should be feeling this one a little bit more up by the rib cage. Exhale up, inhale reach, exhale lift, inhale hands come behind, and then slowly lift, lower back down. Last one. Exhale breath coming up, inhale breath, reach, lift it up a little bit higher. Lovely, Sheila. Hands come behind, and then lower it all back down with control. Well done. So we're just simply flexing the upper back there by using those abdominals to do that. So take the arms and legs out. Imagine somebody's pulling hands and feet in opposite directions, and lift the spine away from the floor. Get that really nice stretch there into the abdominals. Nice deep breaths. Fill the lungs, stretch the rib cage. And then we're going to bring the feet back onto the floor. Last core exercise before we move on to some glutes, which I'm sure you're all very excited about. So bringing the arms up above the shoulders now, anchoring those shoulders into the floor. One leg at a time, we're bringing up into our tabletop position, maintaining that neutral spine so don't allow any shift or doming. If we're struggling there with that one, imprint the spine down into the floor. So now we're going to work the obliques across the waist. So we're going to start with arms. We're going to bring the right arm behind the head. And then exhale as we bring it back up. No shift from the spine, no lengthening between that rib and hip. Keep everything in that nice neutral position. Let's go for 1 more to each side. You'll notice the core working that little bit harder as the arm comes down behind the head. Inhale it back. Exhale, bring it back to that start position. Well done. Now we're going to work with legs. So keeping the arms where they are, anchor those shoulders. We're just going to reach the right leg out on the diagonal. Don't let that spine lift, and then bring it back to that start position. Left leg reach and bring back. One more to each side, and I think you probably all know what's coming after this. And last one, left leg reaches. If you find the spine lifting, just take the leg more up rather than out. So now we're going to operate right arm, left leg, then left arm, right leg. So right arm comes behind, left leg reaches away. So we're working the muscle that joins that right bottom rib over towards that left hip. So working diagonally across, then going with the other side, reach and bring it back. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. Think about the distance between rib and hip on both sides. There should be no lengthening. Really working those deep core muscles to keep everything stabilized through the torso. Perfect, lovely. Let's go for 2 more on each side after this one. Reach and bring it back. If you're feeling it in the lower back, just imprint the spine or rest if you need to. Nearly there. Last ones. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bring it back. And last one. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bring it back to center, bring it back to start position. Bring those knees in towards the chest. Have a little roll around there on the lower back. Try to relax the abdominals. Okay, time. So then we're going to come down into side lying. So we're going to come down onto our sides. We start with a bit of glute work. So making sure we're nicely set up for this one. Main thing is the hips are stacked one on top of the other. The spine should be in one nice straight line. I want you to almost push that top hip away. So the slight gap between the waist and the floor there. I'm just going to prop my head up so I can see the full screen. So if the brick wall was behind us, we'd have the soles of the feet and the spine all the way against that brick wall. Main focus here is to keep really stabilized through the pelvis, so there's no rocking around on the pelvis. So we're going to start with simple clamp, heels stay together, and we're just going to open up the hip, keeping those feet together, and then closing back down. Waking up the glute med on this top side of the hip. Lift, just making sure those hips stay square to the front. Oh, that's good. And open. Well done. On the way back down, rather than just thinking about the leg falling back down, I want you to try and visualize a balloon in between the legs. We'll try and squeeze onto that balloon, popping the balloon, just working against gravity. We'll just slightly activate the inside of the leg there for you. And last one, opening up through the hip. Really squeeze open as much as you can without rolling backwards, and then bringing the knees together. Well done. Knees come together. We're going to elevate the clam now. So we're going to bring the feet away from the floor, keeping the feet together. We're going to do exactly the same. We should have a little bit of a larger range there. You might feel it a little bit more in the side of the bottom. Have a little check-in with the waist. Make sure we're not sunk into the floor. Again, imagine we're trying to squeeze a balloon on the way back down. Opening and closing. That looks perfect. Well done, everyone. I think this is the one that hurt me today after planning yesterday. All I've done for 6 weeks is sit on my glutes, not work them. They're my own fault, really. Squeeze open. Squeeze and close. We're going to add in an extension on this next one. So we're going to open up, and then this leg stays where it is, and then we're just going to extend the leg away, reaching with the foot, bringing the feet back together, squeezing the knees back together. Perfect. That looks really nice. Open, extend, reach. Imagine somebody's pulling that foot away from you. Feet together, squeeze the knees together. Fab. Let's go for 3 more of those. Open, as wide as you can without those hips rolling backwards. Extend, feet, and then knees. Last 2. Exhale, open, extend, reach, feet, controlled, and close. Last one. So we're opening up. We're going to extend. We're going to hold if we can for 3, for 2, ouch, for 1. Bring those heels back together. Bring the knees back together. Bring the feet down onto the floor. Well done. Give the bottom a nice little rub there. I feel like I need to get a tennis ball into that now. Right, we'll do a nice stretch now. So a nice spine twist stretch. So bringing the shoulders square. So you might need to have a little shuffle up the mat. If you've got a pillow that you wanted to pop under your head for this one, or a block, just to keep the neck in line with the spine. If not, just relax the head and the neck for this one. We're going to take it into a spine twist now. So take an inhale breath. As we exhale, we're going to bring the top arm up and over, keeping the gaze to this moving hand, keeping the legs where they are, rotating through the spine as we open up the chest, and just aim to get those shoulder blades as close to the floor as we can. Forward a bit, I'm not going through in the screen. Opening up the chest. Take some nice deep breaths into that stretch. Fill the rib cage. Empty the lungs. And then take a nice deep inhale breath. As we exhale, we're going to lift and lengthen that arm all the way back over. Really sweep the ceiling on the way, lengthen through the arm. Bring the hands back together. Nice, well done. Take an inhale breath here. As we exhale, we're going to slide that hand forwards, reaching forwards, relaxing into that. Take some nice deep breaths. And then bringing the hands back together. Nice, well done. We're going to come up. Oh, no, we're not. We're going to turn around onto the floor now for the next exercise. So we're going to work a little bit of spine next. So coming onto our fronts, we're just going to gently work the spine today. So bringing one hand on top of the other, forehead down onto the hand, and then I want you to externally rotate the legs. So what I mean by that is that the heels come towards each other, but I don't want it just to be the feet that are rotated. We want the whole leg. So I want you to pick up the leg and point the knee to the outside, so the whole leg's externally rotated, and just take it out towards the corner of the mat there. And then do exactly the same with the left one as well. So heels are pointing towards each other, which slightly engages the glutes for you. And then we're going to press the pubic bone down into the floor. You'll notice when we do that, the hips slightly lift away from the mat. And I want you to think about drawing the tummy button towards the spine. So think about that core engagement there. You're just wanting to protect that lower back. So we're going to start nice and gently. We're working upper back for this one. Take an inhale breath. As we exhale, keeping the hands and the elbows on the floor, we're just going to lift up with the head and shoulders. You'll feel a nice stretch across the shoulders. Keep the gaze down towards the floor. Inhale breath, we hold. Exhale breath, we come down. So just gently waking up the upper spine there. Take an inhale breath again. Exhale breath, we're coming up. So the arms are basically stopping us coming up too high. Inhale, breath, we hold. Exhale, breath, come back down. All the time keeping that pubic bone pressed down into the floor. Let's go for one more at this level. Inhale, hold. Exhale, lift. Feel that pull across the top of the shoulders. Inhale, hold. Exhale, slowly bring it all back down. This next one, we can bring the hands and the elbows with us. So don't come up too high, it's not back extension. We just want to be working across the top of the spine. So inhale, breath, we prepare. Exhale, breath. We're going to lift and lengthen. You'll notice it quite a bit harder, bringing the arms with it. We just added some weight into that lever and then lower it back down with control. This is a great exercise for posture. Anybody that sits at a computer for any length of time will probably have quite lengthened back muscles. We're just trying to strengthen them and then lower back down. We're going to start to hold it at the top now. So exhale, breath, we're going to hold it for 3, for 2, for 1, and slowly bring it back down. If we want to work a little bit harder, we can stay at whichever level you prefer. So exhale, breath, we're going to come up, and then we're going to bring the hands away from the forehead, bringing the arms into a V shape. We're holding here for 3, increasing that length into the lever, 2, 1, hands come back, and lower it back down. So we're going to do 3 more reps. Exhale, breath, lift. Holding it here, or bring those arms out into our V. 2, 1, hands come back, control it back down to the floor. So you should be feeling this across the shoulders, top of the spine. Last one, inhale, breath. Exhale, breath. We're going to lift up, not too high, it's just to hover above the floor. And then we're going to lengthen if we're coming up into that extra level for 3, for 2, for 1. Bring the hands back and lower back down with control. Lovely, well done. Hands come underneath the shoulders now. We're going to push up, bending through the knees, sitting back into child's pose. Stretch out across the top of the back. And then always nice to do a little bit of flexion here as well. So we're just going to bring the hands down to the side of the feet, palms facing up towards the ceiling, and just allow the forehead to fall down into the floor there. Allow the arms to relax, allow the shoulders to flop forwards. Nice deep breaths. And then just bringing the hands back underneath the shoulders, pushing back up. We're going to come into seated. We're going to work the saw next. So a nice rotational exercise. So bringing the legs out in front. If you struggle to keep a nice tall spine with the legs straight, you can keep a nice soft bend in the knee. If it means that you're a little bit straighter with the spine, that's preferable. But if you can manage and you're not too tight in the lower back, get the legs out straight. So we're going to bring the arms out level with the legs, crown of the head drawn towards the ceiling. So think length through the spine. Inhaling in the center. As we exhale, we're rotating and reaching. Try to soar off that little toe for 3 pulses, and then inhale it back to center. Exhale, breath, rotate and reach. 2, 3, and then bring it back to center. Let's keep it going. Try to soar off that little toe and bring it back. Again, like I say, if you need to, Pop a little slight bend in the knee if it means we can get length through the spine. I'm really tight in my hamstrings. It really shows, doesn't it, when you don't do it for a while. Let's go for 2 more to each side. Lengthening in the center, reset in the middle. 1, 2, 3. Bring it back. Lengthen. Bring it back. Lengthen. Last one. 1 more to each side. Nice, Linda. Lovely, Gemma. Last 1, 2, 3. And bring it back to center. And relax the arms down. Well done. Let's switch it around to do the other side of the glutes now. So feet in the opposite direction. Into side lying. Just coming out. Right. So into our plan position, start position. So making sure those hips are stacked. Again, remember just to push that top hip away, bring that waist away from the floor. Ideally, head wants to be down here so everything's nicely lined up. I quite like to see this whole of the screen. So feet against that brick wall behind us, spine against that brick wall behind us, starting off with low climb. So keeping the feet together as we just open up that hip. Remember, when we think we've got to the top, just try and squeeze out another centimetre and then close without rolling backwards on that hip. So I quite like to keep my hand on the hip just to make sure there's no wobbling around. Again, think about squeezing the balloon on the way down. That's lovely. Keep it going. Just waking up the top of the hip. And then bring the knees together. Let's elevate it now. So knees come together, feet come away from the floor. We should get a little bit more of a range of movement there from the hip. And slowly lower back down. Perfect. Nice and slow. Have a little check in with the waist. Make sure we've not relaxed. That core is working to stabilize the pelvis in that position. Let's add our extension into this next one. So as we open, we're going to reach that leg away. Imagine somebody's pulling that foot away from you. Bring the feet together. Squeeze the knees together. Lovely. Open up. Extend. Reach. Feet come together. Squeeze those knees together. Fab. We're going for 3 more. Reach. Feet. And squeeze. Last 2. This is really hurting me. Feet. Squeeze those knees together. Let's hold this last extension. We're holding for 3 breaths. So open up as wide as you can without rolling on the hip. Extend, and we're holding for 3. See if we can move the knee a little bit up, more up towards the ceiling. 2 and 1. Bring the knees together. Feet together. Bring the knees together. Well done. Bring the feet down. Bottom rub there or punch, whatever you feel you need to do. Kind of goes a bit numb, doesn't it? Bringing the arms out in front now for the nice bit. Shuffle up on the mat. So popping that pillow if you've got one underneath your head. If not, just relax the neck. Allow the head to fall down onto the floor. Arms out in front, level with the shoulders. Nice inhale, breath to prepare as we exhale. Really think about lengthening, reaching the ceiling, keeping that gaze to that hand as we try and aim to get those shoulder blades nice and close to the floor there. Really stretch out across the chest, and when we're here, nice deep breaths, stretching into the rib cage. few cricks there from my spine. Let's take one more nice deep breath. So nice deep inhale breath. And then on the exhale, really lengthening, bringing that arm back up and back over. Use the core to bring you across. Bring the hands together. When the hands are together, inhale breath, exhale breath. We're going to slide that top hand, lost my words then, as far away as we can. Just try to relax into that. You should feel a really nice stretch into that underneath shoulder and top shoulder. And then sliding the hands back together again. We're then going to come down onto our backs for some more core. So we're going to start, we're going to work with rotation again for this one. So feet hip width apart. In fact, no, bring the feet together. We're going to start with a level 1 spine twist, bringing the arms out, level with the shoulders. Main aim for this exercise is making sure those shoulder blades stay down into the floor. So squeezing the knees together. We're going to then lift the heels away from the floor and inhaling as we drop the knees over in one direction, making sure those shoulder blades stay down. So the rotation through the spine. And then as we exhale, think about using those oblique muscles, the diagonal ones that join bottom rib over towards that hip to bring yourself back across. And then over to the other side. So that feels nice and stretchy, that one. To make it more of a core exercise, as we come back to center, level 2, we're going to bring the first leg up into tabletop position. Keeping that neutral spine or imprinted spine, second leg comes up. We're going to zip the knees and feet together for this one and do exactly the same. Just roll the knees down. Keep those shoulder blades in contact with the floor. And then exhale as we bring those legs through the center. Inhaling down to the other side. Exhale, bring them through. So just make sure here we've not folded the legs too close towards the chest. Those knees need to be directly above the hip. That nice 90-degree angles in the hip and the knee. Bring it through. You're getting a nice little massage into the lower back there as well. A little treat for you. So slow and controlled all the way. Try not to fling the legs around. And make sure we get some nice time for some stretching at the end. And then the last one more to each side. Great one for the waist, this one. And then bring it back to center. When we get to center, just gently place one foot down to the floor. Place the other foot down to the floor. Take the legs out nice and long. Bring the arms behind the head. Lift the spine away from the mat. Lengthen through those abdominals. Have a nice circle of wrists and ankles there as well. Lots of cricks going on in my body today, sorry. And then we're going to take it into a roll up next, a roll up practice coming at the end of class today. So bringing the arms up level with the shoulders. We're going to anchor those shoulders down into the floor. If you prefer, pop a little bend into the knee. If you're fine, keep the legs out straight. Taking an inhale breath here as we exhale, bringing the chin towards the chest and just slowly peeling that spine away from the floor. If you need to, got a bit of a sticking point, just use the elbow to assist on that one. And then reaching nice and tall at the top. We're going to spine stretch first, so reaching tall and then bringing the arms parallel with the legs and just reaching the arms forwards as we bring the waist backwards. So create that nice C curve. Feel the stretch all the way down the spine. And then coming back up, nice and tall. Arms out in front, level with the shoulders. Again, leading with the pelvis. Think about getting the waistband of the trousers nice and close to the floor. Back of the pelvis down towards the floor. And then just allow the spine, one vertebrae at a time, back down onto the floor. Bring those arms behind the head, taking it out into that full body stretch. We can lift the spine away from the floor on this one, just get that stretch down the abdominals. Nice deep breaths, and then bring the arms back up towards the ceiling. As the arms come back up, start to think about pressing the spine down. Exhale breath, chin to chest, lengthen through the back of the neck first as we peel away from the mat. Assistance with the elbow if necessary. Nice. Sit nice and tall. On this one, we're going to forward fold. So reaching forward, leading with the chest, feeling that stretch into the back of the legs. Have a little flex of the ankles there as well. Get that stretch into the calf. We're just going to do one more of each. And then again, nice and tall. Again, if I like to say, bending through the knees if we feel like we can't get straight with the spine. Exhale breath. Pelvic tilt. Find that C shape into the spine. Use the core to control it all back down. One vertebrae at a time. When we're down the floor, lift the spine away from the mat. Reach the arms behind the head. Nice deep breaths. So we're going to come up for another spine stretch on this one. So bringing as the arms come up, start to press that spine down. Bring the chin towards the chest. Pop that bend in the knee if you need to. Lift the spine away. Reach it nice and tall at the top. And then bring the arms parallel. We're going to pull the arms forwards as we pull the waist backwards. Find that C curve. Part the shoulder blade. And then last one. So again, sat nice and tall. Inhale, breath. Exhale, rolling back. Scoop out those lower abdominals. As we articulate through the spine, bring the arms behind the head. Deep breath in. And then we're coming up for the last time. So bringing those arms up towards the ceiling, anchor those shoulders down. Inhale, breath to prepare as we exhale. Bring that chin towards the chest. Pop that bend into the knee if you prefer. You can almost grab hold to the back of the legs if you like, if you have a little bit of a sticking point. Reaching nice and tall on this one, we're then going to widen out through the legs to get a nice hip stretch. So bring the legs nice and wide, leading with the chest. We're going to bring the arms forwards, bringing the chest as close to the floor as we can, feeling that stretch into the inner thighs on this one. Just enjoy that stretch. Maybe enjoy might be the wrong word for some. And then we're going to have a little walk around to one side. So just walk the hands over, grabbing hold of where you can, whether it's foot, ankle, calf, knee, and just again bring the chest as close to the knee as we can. And then just slowly walking the hands back through the center and all the way over to the other side. Again, grabbing hold of the foot, ankle, half knee, wherever you can. Just try to lead with the chest. We want to be feeling the stretch into the leg. Well, that feels nice. And then bringing the hands back to center, walking the hands back towards you as we roll, restack the spine rather. We're then going to bring the right foot into the inside of the left leg. We're going to do a nice rotational stretch now. So we're going to slide the left hand, palm facing out, down the inside of the left leg. Right hand coming into a salute, and we're going to use the back of this left hand to push into the left leg as we take the gaze behind and up towards the ceiling, rotating through the spine, opening it through the chest. Finding it difficult to talk on this one. Keep the elbow out nice and wide. Holding for 3, for 2, and for 1. Bring it back to center. So a nice rotation through the spine. Now we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So left foot to right leg. Right hand slides down that right leg. Again, keeping the spine as tall as we can here. Left hand comes into that salute. We're going to press into the inside of the leg as we bring the gaze diagonally towards the back of the room. Using that right hand to assist in this stretch. Holding for 3, for 2, and for 1. Bring it back to center. Well done. Coming down onto our fronts now. Let's stretch down the abdominals with a nice cobra stretch. So hands underneath the shoulders, feet to the corners of the mat or beyond the corners. We're going to try to relax the bottom on this one. Inhale breath as we exhale. Push the floor away. Make sure the shoulder blades are down the back of the back. Collarbones out nice and wide. Gaze goes roughly towards the end of the mat so we're not flinging our head back. Just make sure the shoulders aren't up round the ears. Feel the stretch down the front of the body. And then we're going to come up into kneeling, so just lower yourself safely back down first, engaging through the core, protect that lower spine as we push up onto all fours. Nice wide leg child pose now, so we're going to sit between the heels for this one and just really try to get that upper body as close to the floor as we can. You should get a nice stretch into the hip. You can widen out through the knees if you wish. Nice deep breaths. And then we're just going to bring the hands slowly back under the shoulders, pushing back up onto all fours again. Knees underneath hips, wrists underneath shoulders. Spread the fingers. Let's take it into our final cat stretch now. So inhale, breath to prepare. Elbows stay nice and soft. We're going to really tuck that tailbone under first. See if we can reach the lower back with the stretch. And then start to bring the chin towards the chest. Look in between the legs. Really pushing up into the spine there. Nice deep breaths. And then untuck that tailbone. Allow the spine to start arching down towards the floor. Just dropping down. Gentle squeeze of the shoulder blades. Stick that bottom out. Take the gaze towards the end of the mat. And then again, in between those two positions, we'll find our neutral. So nice and lengthened through the spine. Turning the toes underneath. We're going to come up into that knee hover, which will feel a lot different than it did at the front at the beginning of the class. So coming up into the knee hover, everything should feel slightly more awake, slightly more worked. And then we're going to keep a nice bend into the knee as we roll the weight back into the heel, bring the head in between the arms, pushing those heels down, keeping those knees bent. Stretch out down the back, across the back. And then just start to slowly walk those hands back towards the feet, transferring the weight back into the feet again, softening through the knees, relaxing through the neck, relaxing through the arms. Hopefully you're a little bit closer to the floor than we were at the beginning. Inhale, breath here as we exhale. Again, start to think about leading with that pelvis. Start to tuck and turn that tailbone under. And then just nicely stretch out through the spine as we start to rebuild and restart, just allowing the arms to dangle. Ooh. Coming up as slow as you like. When we do reach the top, just pick some nice big shoulder rolls to finish with, and just make sure you reset those shoulders back down the back.